Hello YouTube, it's the Workday Slacker here, dodging my day job and proudly bringing you a video that I thought everyone kind of needed to know. Today we're going to be talking about 5 interesting cards missing from History Pack 1. Dun dun dun. Thank you very much for firing up this video, but let's get into it. For those of you who don't know what History Pack is, or for those of you new to the Flesh and Blood world, you're looking at a regular unlimited Beast Within here. This is from Crucible of War Unlimited. It's got a black border. Now the History Pack is something that I think is a great product that Flesh and Blood does to make cards more accessible for players. So you can see this comes in the white border, really similar to something that Magic the Gathering had done back in the day. But I think the way that they're doing this, Flesh and Blood's doing this, very carefully, and they're not just dumping a bunch of cards over and over and over again onto the market. So I'm very thankful for this kind of thing because I get to buy cards that are sweet to play. Some of these are expensive. This is about a $10 card. It's even after this reprint, it's a $10 card. But I've been spending a lot of time with this game. As a new player, I started right at the first, second, and third sets. That's Crucible of War, that is Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising, not in that order, obviously. And as I was looking through the set lists, spending lots of time getting to know some of these cards, I realized that there are some gaps in terms of cards that are not included in these white borders. So today, this is not an exhaustive list, but I want to take a look at 5 of the most interesting cards that I think are going to be relevant that are missing from History Pack 1. So the only way to get these cards are from their original printing and why I think they're actually going to be interesting for the next little while. So let's start with number 5. We've got a Cranial Crush. Now, I'm not a Guardian player, but I do believe that Guardian players are interested in this little keyword here called Crush, where they can do a ton of damage and stop you from doing your plan. So some of the other cards that you might see included in a Guardian set or Guardian deck list also include the Crush keyword, and you'll also notice that they cost a ton, but they also pitch for a ton. So Guardians are really interested in including those blues, and they also create those seismic surge tokens, which reduces the cost of these cards. But I think what's interesting is I feel like a lot of people assume that this card exists in a white border, or there's just a ton of it going around and it'll never be out of print, but that is just not the case. It's a super rare. All of these cards that I'm showing you today are super rares. Those are my top 5 super rare inclusions. So that in itself makes it a little bit more rare. So I think that this is absolutely going to be a card that's going to go up in value. So if you are interested in playing Guardian, pick up a playset before they kind of take off. They're still pretty reasonable right now. Let's get to number 4. For those who are obsessed with Dash, Maximum Velocity is a very interesting card, and it's number 4 on my list because I do believe that it is very playable. It's a 2 cost, 10 attack that blocks for 3. It's a super rare in the Arcane Rising set, and obviously there are some drawbacks, like being able to play 3 boosted cards or boosting 3 times in a turn. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but there are ample ways to do it. There are, even just in this first set, again, I'm not super familiar with lots of the newer cards, but just in the first set that Dash was introduced, there are really strong boost cards that are, unconditional boost cards. So this just says boost, attack, boost, attack. So in terms of a finisher, I think that Maximum Velocity is absolutely going to be a card that is included. I've seen it included in a number of lists. I know that BoxOpening has a aggressive boost dash deck tech that has 3 of these or 2 of these. So I do think this is going to be around. And even just that iconic art, I think people are going to actually want to try and collect this as well. So people pay extra for rainbow foil versions of Dash's pistol. So it's definitely a card that I think is worth looking at. If you like Dash, pick up a playset before they go up. Let's get to number 3. Number 3, no surprise here. You might see a theme for the next one too, but with the release of Outsiders, I do believe that any of the Ninja cards and Ranger cards are going to be reevaluated to see if they are worth including, what kind of damage and what kind of crazy combos can you pull off with some of these old cards that might not be super popular. I do believe this one is pretty popular because it's not a crazy combo that you need to pull off. It really only requires 2 cards. So the combo is here, but even without the combo, for 1, you can attack for 4. It blocks for 3, so you're not going to be embarrassed playing this card. But the combo piece really is reliant on playing a leg tap and then following up the leg tap with a rising knee thrust, which gives it +2 and go again. And then Hurricane Technique, what does it do? It gives it +1, go again, and if it hits, put it into your hand. So that's pretty crazy. I think that's, I'm not sure how Ninja works. I'm not the expert on the actual gameplay yet. Still only been playing this game for 2 months. But I feel like there's some shenanigans that people can pull off with this. And it's a super rare in the first set that is drying up in supply. So definitely, if you see messages on your Discord saying, looking for 3 copies of Rising Knee Thrust, don't be surprised. Let's get to number 2, similar kind of thing. I think this one is even more likely to see a surge, and that is Rapid Fire. So I am trying to wrap my head around Rangers, and I think they're pretty complex, they're pretty cool, lots of interesting play patterns. So this card, to me, when I first read it, I thought it was insane. It does a lot. Arrows get go again and reload. So if you don't have a card in your arsenal, you can put one face down. Why I think this is particularly high on the list is because of this new guy here, Barbed Castaway. Wish I had this in cold foil. But basically, you get to reload with the Barbed Castaway, which with Rapid Fire, which is then going to let you take that face down arrow and flip it face up. So humor me if you will. I might be wrong, but let's say you start a turn with a 1-cost Sikkim Shot in your arsenal. Okay? I'm gonna start my turn with a Sikkim Shot. The rest of my hand is this. I've got my blues and I've got my 3 arrows and a Rapid Fire. I can start my turn, pitch a blue. I can attack with my Sikkim Shot. That's 1. I get go again. I can Rapid Fire. Lets me put an arrow in my arsenal. I can cast away for 1, play that 1, hit that Searing Shot. It gets go again. And with this first attack here, I can put an arrow card face up in my arsenal and then blast with that too. So right away, you're basically dealing 12 damage just on the actual numbers there. But depending on the arrows you play and the costs, I think that's pretty powerful stuff. So tell me if I'm crazy. Again, never actually played a full game with Azalea, so please, I'm very open to being corrected. But I do think that people are going to be looking for this card in droves, and it's going to be hard to find because it's a super rare from a rather expensive set. It's only in Arcane Rising, and Arcane Rising boxes are going up every day. They're about $140 Canadian here. So just because of this card and some of the other Ranger stuff, I do think it's going to go up. And finally, my first choice, and I'm sure this will be no surprise to most people, but my number 1 choice from a super rare from the first 3 sets and not currently printed in any other set is Remembrance. This card comes up a lot in discussion, comes up in the term when you're talking about the boogeyman who is Fatigue Oldhim. Anybody who's new to the game, hasn't played against one of those guys, just know that their whole game plan is to just burn you out, slow you down, not burn you out, but basically make your life boring until you run out of resources. And this card is built to combat that specifically. So for 0 cost, a yellow pitch, you can just pitch this for the whole game until you get to the end. and then you can either run one of these or all three, and basically put your strongest action cards from your graveyard back into your deck so that you don't run out of resources. And this card is a super rare in the first set, my personal favorite set, Welcome to Wraith, and I only think that this is going to go up in value unless something drastic happens or it's reprinted, because this card is a go-to inclusion, and it's something that people are going to be looking for. It's also just beautiful. Look at that iconic art. So I definitely think you should have yourself 3 of these if you like the game, because I don't think they're going to be getting cheaper anytime soon. And there you have it, folks. That is the top 5 cards in the super rare variety that I just want to call out. I'm not saying run out and buy, do a big buyout of all these cards, but I think they're interesting cards, and I don't think they're going to get a lot cheaper unless something, reprinty happens. And this is not an exhaustive list. Like I said, there are 14 super rares that were excluded from the history pack, so I'll be back with some more of my interesting options and why I think they're good cards. And the same goes for some of the Majestics that were also left out. So hope you enjoyed. If you liked the video, hit me a like, hit me a subscribe, whatever. If you don't like it, give me a thumbs down. But thanks for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.